Hi everyone, welcome to my little paintbrush. My name is Cami and today we get to paint Taylor Swift. So for all my Swifties out there, this one is for you. As always, feel free to change this painting up as you go. Add, take away, switch whatever up that you want, but just come and have a good time with me, okay? I hope you have our paint kit, because if you do, you're going to have all the supplies that I'm going to use. You're also going to have Taylor sketched and ready for you, which is super, super helpful. If you don't know where to find that, you can click the link in the description below, or you can go to our website, mylittlepaintbrush.com. All of the tutorials on YouTube that we have also have a paint kit that goes along with it. So that's where you find that. If you don't have the paint kit, just grab the supplies you have, sketch out a good Taylor Swift, and just create with us today. Let me show you the brushes I'm going to use today. I've got a number 12 flat, I've got a number 2 detail, and then I've got a number 6 round with me just in case I need it. Sometimes I use that one, sometimes I don't. It just kind of helps me get into smaller places that I don't want to use my detail for, but my big brush is too big. Okay, let's look at the palette. We've got our blues and our reds, gold for the hair, brown, black. I've separated my white into 3 piles. This is a good tip so that you can keep your white paint from getting contaminated throughout the painting process. I also have 2 jars of water. I like to use a jar. It's a little heavier. I can really wash my brush out without it having a super big chance of tipping over, so that's helpful too if you have a heavier cup or a jar. I like to have 2 on hand, that way I always have access to clean water, and I also have a rag for wiping my brush. I think that's it. Let's dive right in together. We'll start with our background. I'm going to use my number 12 flat, swish it around in some water, loosen those bristles, and also our acrylic paint does need water. I used blue for the background. I like a nice light blue, so I'll go ahead and make that. Again, you can switch that up. You can do a pink. You basically have red, yellow, and blue with this paint kit, so you can obviously make any color, really. And then we're just going to fill in our background. Do our best to stay out of Taylor. I am painting on a multimedia paper. It's just a preference for doing my tutorials. If you have our paint kit, you have a canvas. That's what the original was painted on. And if you are painting on a canvas, we would highly suggest and recommend that you wrap your edges. You might be wondering what the heck that means. So let me show you with the original here. If you look on the edges of my canvas, they are painted as well. I follow the front of my painting. I'm trying to see, there it is. I follow the front around the sides. Okay, so anytime you hear me say wrap the edges, that's what I mean. That way when you put it on a shelf or a table or hang it on the wall, it's a nice completed piece. And we like that. We like to complete our paintings. Okay, so I'm going to continue to fill in my background. Another tip I'm going to give you is the pace at which you paint. You do not have to keep up with me. I paint kind of fast. A big reason for that is my paint is drying really fast. I'm surrounded by lights here for the camera, and so my paint just dries super quick, and so I have to keep up with that. So if at any point you need to pause this or even rewind and go back, feel free to do that. You don't have to paint at this pace. All right, we've got a little blue right here. So we'll fill that in real quick. And this is a good spot that you could switch brushes if you want. Go to something like your round. I just kind of switch to the toe of my brush and still feel like I'm in enough control to continue that way, but if you're feeling differently, don't hesitate. Okay, so once your background is in, we're going to add chunks of white to our brush and just kind of brush in what I like to call a halo around the subject, or you could call it ripple marks or a ripple effect, as we just kind of create the idea of some movement. It breaks up our background so it's not super flat anymore. It also draws the eye to the subject because we're kind of lighting her up in a way, lightening the space around her. So for these reasons, we like to do this. And it can be as thick as you want, or it can be as light and subtle as you want. You are the artist of this particular piece, so you can do whatever your heart desires. I like to, just some areas I like to go chunkier, others I just kind of not so much, but personal preference. If you need to, you can blend through, add another layer of your background. And just play with it. You cannot mess these kinds of things up. Love it. Love it, love it. And your background is in just like that. Pretty quickly. Let's rinse our brush really well. Put a nice swish. I'm going to jump right into the hair. She's got a nice golden hair color in this painting, which is why we have this pretty gold here. And I need to lighten that up, okay? But I also want to keep some dark as well. So I have a little, both I'm kind of meeting in the middle here with my colors. Okay, so when I feel like I have a nice shade, I'm just going to start to fill in her hair. And as you're going along, if you're like, oh, it's a little too dark or it's a little too light, you can adjust. You can adjust as you go, but this is one of those moments that I would suggest you wrap your canvas. So go over the top with her blonde hair so that the top of your canvas is wrapped as well. Don't worry too much about the fingers here. If you get a little in there, it's okay. It's kind of, the skin tone is going to be fine to cover it up. That's why we're doing this step first. So then we can use the skin tone to kind of clean it up if we need to. I really can't believe this is our first Taylor Swift painting. You know, we just haven't done one yet. That simple. We've had a lot of requests. And I really love this one because I feel like Taylor Swift has so many fans of all ages. And this one feels doable for those ages. And so that's why I love this particular image of her. You can make it more complicated, or you can sort of take away from some of the steps. So depending on how old you are, what the age is of the artist creating this piece right now, you know, you can say, I'm not going to add all those details to it, or you can say, I want to add more details. You can kind of take the reins on it. And that's what I love so much about this particular one. Okay. Just painting around here, filling all of it in. We left her hair pretty chunky, again for the, oops, sorry, for the bumping camera, but for the same reason. as I just stated, we kind of wanted to give all ages the ability to really create this painting. And so we left it kind of a little more chunky on the hair. So add more details if you want than I do, or less, again, depending on your age and your comfort level. I feel like I need to be listening to some of her music. Maybe that's what you're doing, which I completely support. That would be the best thing to do right now. Okay, so we are going to continue with her hair and go ahead and add my version of extra detail in the hair. If you're one of my younger artists, be really simple with this, maybe even leave it at this. If you're a little bit more advanced, maybe go a little further and add some more than I do. But what I'm going to do is put that color on my brush, that color I just filled in her hair, and put the corner of it in that original golden color, okay? And then I'm going to come through along the outer rim of her hair, and I'm just going to, got paint on my hand, I'm just going to add some details, okay? Add some shadowing and some details as I go. Look over at my reference, make sure I'm doing this like I've advertised. So we got this one that comes up into her part. And then this one comes across her bangs. So anytime I load, I'm just getting more of that original color we mixed, and then adding some of the darker gold. And we're just creating the detail in her hair. She's known for this side part in this particular image, so we're playing off of that. So that's kind of fun. Notice how I kind of come up into the hairline a little bit, or the hair, you know, every once in a while to make that even more prominent of a line. Come down here, swoop up with this one. And then we have one just coming down the center here. And some extras, little extras in here. Okay. And also just creating shadow lines along as well. Anytime you need to add some water to your brush because your brush is going to start to feel a little dried out, go ahead and just add some water. No need to fear that. Our paint needs water. If we can come through, sometimes I come through with a detail brush at the end and just kind of make those points a little bit more cleaned up, if you will, if you want to. If not, you know, it just depends on the look you're going for. Okay, we're going to come along this other side now, all the way down. Same thing around here, kind of create that shadow line. She's looking good. Very, very snazzy. I like it a lot. Feel free to adjust your canvas if you can't reach certain angles. Sometimes it's tricky to get these angles just from one position. So if you need to flip your canvas over, feel free to do that. All right, she's looking good. Just keep messing with it until you get the stroke you're hoping for. Sometimes it takes more than one brush stroke to get the one that you're wanting, you know. And I find that newer artists struggle with that a lot because they kind of picture, you know, one and done kind of brush strokes, and painting isn't like that at all. It takes blending and effort and in and out and to figure that out. Okay, so let's add some more strands, so to speak, some more light and shadow effect up here. Well, I lost that one. I just blended that one right in. Let's try that again. Okay, and then let's play up here on this part a little bit. Add some extras up here as well. Cute. I like it. And again, you can decide to do more, you can do less. It really depends on what you're comfortable with as you're painting along here. So if you want to keep going with the hair detail, then go for it. If you feel like you're maxed out right here, then just call it good. Okay, we're gonna leave that for now and we'll come back and we'll add some highlights in a little bit, but let's do our skin. Let's fill in the skin tone. So we're just gonna use some red and brown. And if you want, you can add a touch of red. Did I say red and brown? I meant white and brown. If you want to add a pink tone to it, you can add some red. I think I'm just going to use brown and white though. This brown tends to pull little pink hues, so I think I'm good with that. And then let's fill in her skin. So same thing, wrap around your canvas. Whenever you hit the edge of your canvas, wrap that around. I used to teach it by saying this is your present and you're wrapping it with your picture, and the picture is the wrapping paper. And that kind of helped the smaller artist have an idea of what I meant. So if that helps you, you can picture it that way. Okay, getting up in the hand and the fingers. You should be able to brush with this lighter brown and still see the fingernail and the finger line details. So you should be able to brush right over those pencil marks and not lose those. And that's helpful because then you don't have to get too crazy with worrying about those little areas. So I just went ahead and brushed right over them. Same with the chunky ring. And honestly, the glasses for now, don't worry too much about going around those. The inside is black, so it's going to cover everything up. And the rim is a light pink, which your skin color will easily be covered by. So don't worry too much about that. In fact, you could paint right over the whole thing if you wanted, to eliminate some stress. Sometimes it just feels really stressful going around a bunch of stuff. But we are going to go around the lips. She's got some pretty iconic lip shape, so we want to keep that. And the inside is white, so we don't want to, you know, she's got those white teeth. We don't really want to mess with that. Okay. We are just cruising. Hopefully you're pausing if you need to. Go around those lips there. Those are fun to paint in her bright red lips, which we will do shortly. Yeah. She's kind of slanting her head over, so we've got a little slant right there. But there it is. That is her skin tone there. We're going to make a lighter brown here that we can add some shadow with. I don't want to just use straight original brown color. It comes across too harsh. So I just made a lighter version. And I'll wash my brush here. Really good. And then we'll do the same thing we did with the hair. I'm going to load with my skin tone here and then just dip the corner of it in this brown that I mixed. And that's going to be what I use to go around her arms and her face and just define all the things here. If it's feeling too harsh, just brush over it a few times here like I'm doing, and it'll just kind of lighten it up. Okay, so feel free to do that as well. I'm going to add a little bit of water because I can feel everything kind of seizing up. Our acrylic paint naturally needs water, so that's good to keep in mind as you're painting. It's going to need water anyway. But especially if you're fighting the canvas and your paint isn't just nicely, smoothly going over your surface, you're going to want to add some water. Okay, let's go up to these fingers. These are a little trickier, but we're just going to do, and you can do this with a detail brush if you're a little more comfortable with that, but I'm just going to do some lines here. I'm really utilizing the toe of my brush too to get that. We can go back with our detail brush and clean it up a little bit more, but mostly I just wanted the top of the finger of these stacked fingers, and the other ones, the last one here, I can do the base when that's dry. Okay, and then we'll come around here. And the thumb. Just keep at it. Sometimes it's hard not to judge our painting, but just keep at it. It'll all come together. And it's really fun to watch as it does. So I'm trying to get this thumb. This might be a time that I would flip my canvas over to get it, or maybe on its side. So if you need to do that to get the thumb, go for it. It's not too bad though. I think I did pretty good. Okay. And just keep going. We've got this arm we're going to separate right here with this nice dark line. Perfect. Okay. Get the shoulder in. Again, blending anywhere that we might feel it's a little harsh. And when we highlight, it's going to help with that too. So that's why I say just keep at it. Sometimes it can feel like, oh no, I'm not getting it. But just keep painting. Dory would say, just keep swimming. We're just going to keep painting our Swiftie here. Or Taylor. I guess we would be the Swiftie. My girls would be correcting me left and right if they were in here right now. Okay, she's looking fantastic. Let's go up in the neck and face area. Get these lines in here. Maybe if you're one of my younger artists, maybe you're just outlining these things. Or maybe you've just skipped this step altogether. And either way, it's okay. That's what I mean by you can really just make it your own based on what you're comfortable with. And you might not need, oh, I think I may have got paint on my face. You may not need all these elements, all these steps to feel happy and confident with your painting. And so, you know, you might not need to do all that. Come up here in this part on the forehead. And feel free to go in the glasses. Remember, that's okay. That's why we haven't done them yet. That way we don't have to stress about going around them. And we can still see those lines just fine. And so that eliminates a lot of that concern. Okay, getting the chin in, just reloading. Come around the face on this side. And then blend that in. If we're feeling like it's a little too strong, just blend it in. And then come up here into her face and make sure everything's nice and blended and covered. Because then we got to put the little nose in, little nose lines here. So I'm just going to make sure that's all blended out nice. And then if our chin needs a little cleanup, can do that pretty easily. Remember, she's tilting her head a little, so you are going to have that little tilt. Just going through, making sure everything has a nice blend on it. Very good. Okay, we've got to do this finger and we're going to do the nose. So let's go ahead and do the nose first, okay? I'm going to give a little shadow up there and then just a very slight curve coming down here, okay? Just very slight. And then if you feel like you need to kind of come through, tone it down a little, you can. You're just doing a couple little hook lines here. Looking good. The nose actually takes a little bit of effort just because you want it to be same size on both sides, and it's kind of hard to do that, especially looking like straight onto it. But we're just going to do our best here. We're also going to highlight it, so that always kind of cleans it up a little too. That looks pretty nice. I like it. I think we're good there. Let's go up to this finger and finish out these lines here. Now that it's dry enough up here, we can kind of go along here. And again, any of this you can just go ahead and opt to do it with your detail brush. I just like the more faded look that this brush gives, this flat brush. I prefer that, but you might feel that it's just a little too stressful, and that's totally fine. Okay, I'm looking at it and it's looking really good, you guys. Whew. Breathe a little bit. That's a lot. That's a lot of skin coverage here. Let's wash our brush. Swish it out here. Let's go ahead and work with our detail brush and our red paint, okay? So we're just going to add a touch of white into the red. This mostly helps with coverage, which is important when we're trying to get a nice bright red. Surprisingly, adding the white to it gives that to you. And I gave her some nice red fingernails. So we're going to start with those and our detail brush, just getting those in. Nice bright red nail to match our red lips, which I just think is perfect. Get that little tip there. Nice. I think this might be harder than painting my own nails. Painting Taylor's nails. Okay. You could make them longer if you want. I kept them pretty short. Cute little nails there. And then let's do these lips. Slow down, take a deep breath. Make sure we get these nice and nice bright red lip. And she does have a nice prominently shaped lip, which we're for sure playing on here. Maybe add a little water. My red is seizing up on me a bit. And we're just going to leave the inside white. So you won't even need to paint it unless you want to, or unless you've got maybe had a little slip and there's a mistake that you need to clean up. Otherwise, we're just going to leave it. Oh, see? She's happening. It's all happening. Okay, so the rim of the glasses, we're just going to add more white to this red and just have a nice pink color. You can go as light or as dark as you want with this. In her original photo, it's quite pale, so I kind of brightened it up a little bit, kept the pink a little more poppin', but you can do it however you want. So let's just go ahead and do the rim here of these glasses. And I'm using my detail brush because that's going to give me the most control here. And it's almost just a full pressed down brush stroke for me. And that might be the same for you. It might be a little different. So you can play with that a little bit. Going around here. Getting a nice clean edged sunglass here. And come and like square this off over here. Just like that. And there is one side of her glasses done. Careful if you're resting to check and see if your lips are dry. If you're resting your palm, I tend to do that and then I forget that I have wet paint on my canvas. Let me go around the thumb here. Obviously, if you get it in the lens, it's okay because that's black and so that's going to cover it up. But I would suggest not losing your lens because that can complicate your next step when we go into the lens to fill that out. Okay. Come across the top here. Lot of concentration, especially going around our fingers. But this will kind of also make those fingers a little bit more, make them make sense a little bit. Because right now it's kind of like, wait, where are those fingers? But now you can really see where they are. Get these glasses. My perfectionism kind of comes out full force when I'm painting these glasses. It's actually kind of bad, but we're going to do our best. Sometimes I even have to remind myself that this is hand painted, not a print. Because I like things a little bit too perfect. It's impossible. Okay. Looks pretty good. I'm gonna kind of get some of this red, maybe make a darker pink, add some water to it. I just want to add a few lines to my glasses, nothing crazy, but just kind of some additional details to break them up a little bit. I'm just gonna come along here and just kind of a little something like that, just kind of helps them stand out a little bit. Maybe come up around the nose. Just little things. Little things sometimes make the big difference. Little details make the big differences. Okay, this is looking really, really good. Loving it so much. We're gonna make a gray so we can get that chunky ring here. And we need a little bit of gray for the shirt. So let's make ourselves a nice gray. Oh, this looks good. I think I went back and looked. Her original one was gold, her ring in the original picture. And I'm not gonna lie, I struggled a little bit with that and the gold hair. So I went ahead and did a silver ring, or played on the idea of a silver ring. Of course, you can totally do gold because you have gold. And you can make it gold if you want. I went ahead and went with the silver. Okay, I need to lighten this just a little bit. It's too dark for what I want for the shirt, so I'm gonna lighten it a little. And then I'm gonna switch back over to my flat brush. She looks so cool. Okay, and now I'm gonna paint in her shirt with some white. So just a quick fill it in, just so that we can add a little bit of that gray. This would be one of those steps that maybe if you're 5, 6, 7-ish, maybe you're just okay with the white shirt and you don't need to add the extra detail. And that's totally fine, but I'm just gonna add a little gray shadow to break up the brightness of the white shirt. And I'm gonna do that with just this gray I made. And I'm just gonna go around her shirt here. And anytime I feel like, oh, that's too gray, as I do right now, just take my white and go over it. Because I don't want it to be dark, dark, dark. I just want to add slightest touch of gray. Okay. Come and do it to the other side. It's funny, paint always goes on darker than you think it is. So almost every time I'm like, that's not what I wanted. I wanted it lighter than that. So I find myself going back over things quite a bit to lighten them. Also, I just like lighter shades, I think. Okay, let's go in the neck area, kind of the collar of the shirt. And add it there too. And you can go around the hair as well, just to kind of cast little shadows around the strands of hair if you want. We're going to go through with the detail brush and define that hair just a little bit. So this is just sort of an added shadow that's not necessary, just if you want to. Guys, we are almost done. Let's do some highlights in her hair. I'm just going to use a clean brush and some water. So just make sure your flat is washed really good, and then just get some white on that brush on the corner of it, and then we're just going to go through her hair. And we're just going to add, the same way we did the darker, we're going to add some lighter. So we've got the low lights and the highlights kind of playing in together on her hair. So it's kind of fun to add these in there too. Obviously you don't want to take away from all the work that you did on her hair, so you don't want to take those dark shadows away, but we just want to add some light. And get your brush wet again if you need to. And we'll continue to just add some light here. Okay, she's looking so spectacular. Let's highlight her shoulders. Some of these might not come through the camera very well because it's pretty light on light shades here. So you can look at your reference or just try and imagine light. I will forever just think of my in-studio classes. Anytime I said, okay, it's time to highlight, everybody would just moan, oh no, we don't want to highlight. And so I would hear all the time the kids would say, Miss Cami, do I have to highlight? And I'll tell you what I tell them. No, because it's your painting, but the highlights wake up your painting. So I always suggest it. Let's go ahead and highlight this ring. I always suggest it because it's just such an important step in the painting. But, you know, some kids really truly did not want to do it, and I get it. But give it a try, because you might find that it's a really important step once you do it. Up here, I just kind of lost my shadow. See how I use my finger a lot? That's an artist trick. Sometimes you just use your finger. Okay. She's looking fantastic. Let's highlight her nose. There we go. Cute, cute, cute. Okay, I'm looking. All right, I think it's time for the glasses. Yes, I think it is. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get my round number 6 out. But for the glasses, just feel like that's a little bit more control, and I could use all of the control I can get because I'm using black and I don't want to lose my glasses. So I'm going to get in here and paint these lenses in there. This sometimes could be the trickiest part because you're trying to match the two and you're trying not to lose the rim. And black, it's just like you can see everything with black. If there's a mistake, it's like, oh, that's obvious. But we just do our best. I add a little water to my black because it was getting super thick. Come around and do the other one. The longer you can kind of just press your bristles down and not lift up your brush, the cleaner your edge is going to be. So that's a tip, but it is tricky. So we're just giving it our best effort. Okay, we have got our lenses in. I think we could say that we are doing really well. Let's let those dry a minute. Get your detail brush with a little bit of white, and let's just give our lip here just a little bit of a kiss of white. Just right there. That's all I wanted to do. That was enough for me. You can do more if you want. Let's go over to our gold. And here's where, if you would like to, you can really clean up and enhance the hair, okay? You don't have to do this step, but if you're waiting for something to dry or you just kind of want to add some definition, you can come through and define these, give them more of a point here, because sometimes those chunkier ones get lost, especially because we were using our flat brush to do it. And so I like to go through and just kind of define these a little bit. But it is a personal preference for sure. And come through if you lost some of this side to highlight, you can kind of just bring that back in. Excuse me, something's tickling my throat. Just anywhere that you kind of want to just define it a little bit. You're using light colors. I mean, these are light. Everything's very light, and so sometimes you lose that definition. All right, I think it's time for our final highlight, which is the glasses. So again, just a damp brush with a nice chunk of white on it. And I tried to do the easiest possible highlights I could. I got to get in a weird position here, and we're just going to swoop the side, okay, just like that. Oh, something is in my throat, you guys. Let's try and do the other one. Just a little swipe. Oh, that worked out really good. Very proud of myself. I hope you're proud of yourself too. Let's check and see. I think that's it, guys. I think we did it. We painted Taylor Swift. Let's sign our painting. I'm going to go with red. I like this red. It's speaking to me right now. Something's floating in the air. Find a spot and sign your name. Take ownership of your art. Please, please, please. It's so important. Even if you're not 100% thrilled with your painting, you took the time to create, sign your work, walk away from it, come back, look at it. You might be surprised at how proud you are of what you accomplished. Thank you so much for painting with me. If you had fun, give me a thumbs up. Also check out our other tutorials, and we love to see your painting. So send us your Taylor Swift painting. We'll share it on social media and come paint with us again. Bye-bye.